Hello, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up the correct bid on Amazon when you're advertising. So let's get into it. So this is a question we get asked all the time. Is this something I see people doing very wrong? Either they set up a bid that's super high and they're making a big loss, or the bid is too low and they're not getting any impressions, any clicks, any results. Both of these situations are not great. Of course, you want to be as profitable as possible. So how do you select a correct bid? This is what we need. First, I want to know your profit margin. What's your profit margin? Let's say it's $5. What's the conversion rate per category? If you're launching a product, you won't have your data, but you can use Helium 10 and data to understand what are the average conversion rates. Once you have an average conversion rate, and let's say the average conversion rate is 10%, you know that now the margin is $5, conversion rate is 10%. After that, we need to know the suggested bids by Amazon. Suggested bids by Amazon is when you're starting a campaign, you see suggested bids. Let's say we're advertising protein powder. So if Amazon is saying the suggested bids are between $1 and $1.20, that means that in your competition, that's what usually competitors are bidding. Now, this is not 100% that that's what they're bidding, but it's around there. The important part here is that Amazon is giving you this data. And anytime Amazon gives you the data, I would listen. Of course, Helium 10 data is great, Data Dive data is great, but nothing beats what Amazon is giving you as data, because that's where we're selling on that platform. So once you know that 1 to 120 is the bid, how do you establish if you should put that? So the general rule of thumb is the further away you're from the suggested bid, so if the suggested bid is $1 and you're advertising at 10 cents, that means you're most likely not going to get a lot of impressions, let alone clicks. Now, the closest you are to that, you will get more impressions and hopefully more clicks. The more aggressive you are, so if it's $1, you're going to 120, you get even more impressions. This is the general rule of thumb. The bigger the bid, the more results. The complicated part here is that if the suggested bid is $1, but your profit is $1 and your conversion rate is 10%, you're going to be very unprofitable. So that's the decisions you need to make here. Me, I personally like to make profits per product. Doesn't mean it's a big profit, especially when you're launching, you have to be more aggressive. So you might lose a bit, you might lose for a certain amount of time, but in the long term, I want to be making something. So previously I asked you about your margin. We said it's $5. The conversion rate, 10%. So I know that if I put the bid at $1 and it's 10% conversion rate, it means that I need 10 people to click on the listing for one to convert. So $10 to generate 5. So it'll be negative $5. So making a loss of $5. If you can take that loss, okay. So having those figures, it tells you what you can afford and you cannot afford. Now, if your conversion rate is 20%, it means that for every 5 people that come, so for example, you get 1 sale. In this instance, if my cost per click is $1, I have 5 people, that's $5, my profit is $5, I'm breaking even. Now, the nuances in this here is that you need to understand what strategy you want to use, and you need to understand what you're willing to do with your product. First, is it a replenishable product? If it's a replenishable product, either grocery item or protein powder, whatever you're using, if it's a product that people order all the time, if a product has a big lifetime value, you can afford more. I'll give you an example, right? The first customer might cost you $10 and you're losing 5, but he's going to order second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th time, and you'll be profitable overall. So this is how I really like to set up the cost per click. So that's why stats are very important. As we said, if it's an item that people buy all the time, it might cost you $10 to buy the first time, but you know overall you're going to be profitable. So if you know that about your product, you can spend more on ads. But that's why you need to make a decision. Do you want to be profitable on the first? Meaning, you know that your conversion rate is 10%, you know that your profit is $5, you know that you need to be at under 50 cents per bid. You know that. That's the cost per click. It needs to be under 50 cents because if not, you're just going to be breaking even. Now, the numbers will change. Conversion rate might go up and down, but those will be roughly the numbers at the beginning. If you want to be break even, you know you can afford about 50 cents per click at the 10% conversion rate with the numbers we just said. Now, if you want to be more aggressive and you want to go with a suggested bid of $1, expect that you're probably going to lose $4, $5, $6 per order. Now, caveat with this, and this is very important. That's the great thing and the super exciting things that I like about Amazon and PPC and advertising. It's never straightforward because the more sales you get, you'll start getting organically ranked better. You get more momentum, so you'll be seen more for cheaper. That means that your conversion rate might have been 10%, but now it's 12%, or now it's 15%. So now you're actually more profitable. Oh, by the way, the customer that bought, now they're coming in as well, and your organic sales are going up. Now your organic sales are going up significantly because people are liking it more and they're seeing it more. You get 100 customers, and this is a great example of how it will work for good products. That's why good products always win. So if 100 customers buy and you lose 500 pounds, but those 100 customers come back 4 times, you've made a good amount of profit. You're creating your customer base. The more sales you unlock subscribe and save, which means you get even more recurring revenue. With these type of products, this recurring revenue is very important. But that's why when you're setting up the bit, you need to understand your numbers. You need to understand, and this is super important, conversion rate. What is your conversion rate? Is it 5, 10, 15, 20%? What is it? Profit margin. How much are you making per product? Is it $5? Is it $1? Is it $10? The higher the margin, the more you can spend. The higher the conversion rate, the more you can spend. You want to scale that? Do it. But make sure your figures are right. And if you want to improve your conversion rate and click-through rate, you can check my last video. We took a client from 40K to 120 in less than 6 months. And a lot of that was improving conversion rate and click-through rate. When you know your figures, that's when you can understand the bid and what bid you want to put. Because if you put it random, you say, oh, I'm going to put $1, you might make a big loss. So be prepared when you're making the bid. If you want to be profitable, if you want to be breaking even, if you take a loss, but then in the long term, you know you're going to make a profit. But the key here always is test, and know your numbers. If you know your conversion rate, if you know your profit margin, you know the suggested bid per Amazon, that will give you a great guideline of how much it's going to cost you per click and what bid to put. I hope you like this video. A lot more to come. See you later.